Welcome back, Pearl Foy again, haircutting A to Z. Today what we thought we would do is we want to review everything. Watching it one time, doing it, finding the little flaws, finding the things that could happen. Those are just kind of questions that come up. And many times you'll watch a video and then they show the finished look and it's perfect, but they didn't show you about the natural fall, and possibly as you're watching it, just like my own videos, sometimes one thing does look a little longer than the other. And we figure it out when we're finished. So that's part of it's gonna be the same thing for you. You're gonna have to go through, like I said, that natural fall is a big factor that people don't talk about. So what I wanna do today is we're gonna review from A1, A, B, and C haircut. We're gonna go through it pretty quickly. So we wanna make sure, I'm gonna set my timer here so we don't keep you too long, but like I said, it is review. It's not necessarily teaching it again, it's just covering those bases again. So you know how to do your head form, right? Question mark. And then you do a number 1, and then a number 2, and then of course we want to put that tragus in there. Oh, I forgot, you know what? I forgot to mark tragus. So that's our number 14, tragus, T-R-A-G-U-S. A lot of nerve endings, I covered that, we did a little massage. You know now why you should not have earrings there. It does affect the facial structure. Just a basic safety thing for you, but it's also a point of measure. So we have the frontal fringe or bang, that's up here, the apex, the highest part of the head. The parietal line or the horseshoe, and we talked about that, how it looks like a horseshoe. So the parietal line has an upper ridge and a lower ridge. Other people call this the crest or the curve of the head. But if you know exactly where that lower ridge is at, we're both speaking the same language. If we just say crest or curve of the head, we're speaking a multitude of languages when it comes to especially clipper cutting. I hope some of you did look around and see if you could find the lower ridge on some of these guys that have got really, really short hair. So that's helpful for you. We have our, okay, like I said, upper ridge, lower ridge, and then we have the flat part of the head. That's recognized as the temporal area. A lot of people will say the temporal area, but you can see, put your hand on it, for goodness sake, it's flat. So because it's flat, that's what we're working on, a flat, not a rounded surface. We have the crown, and again, we found out some crowns look rounded, but when you put the palm of your hand on it, it's about the size of the palm of your hand, and it's a little bit flat. So look at heads, especially take advantage of it right now that guys are shaving their head, that they're wearing it really short. Start looking at the different head forms, because those are things you're gonna work on, and those are the things that are the deciding factor for the finish of your cut. Okay, then we have the vertex. The vertex is right at that center crown, just slightly above the parietal line. And remember, we are using this language when I teach these classes. I'm here to teach you. I'm not here to just say, do it this way. I want to teach you at the highs and lows of it. So there's the vertex. The vertex we use because that's the center, true center back. It's also used for what? When we do a mohawk, and we'll discuss that in just a few minutes. But that is the line for it, if you know that. If somebody wants a mohawk, you'll know exactly where it's at. If you know where you're at, you know where you're going. We have the occipital area. That's got the most part, that's where the majority of your hair is at. The occipital area, the crown fits into it a little bit. The occipital area is the widest area. It's also the most rounded area. Just underneath the occipital area is the nape. This is the nape line. How do we find it? Remember, we just place our finger, we don't direct it. Just press, let it slide back. As it slides back, it ends up right in the back of your knowledge bone. And we try and call this, I'm going to bring this mannequin over because this is the one we're going to be quickly doing haircuts today. And her hair, you see the direction, the natural fall, all of that. But we have what, when I talk to my students, I say, give me a happy face. And that's the natural fall back there at the nape line. And after a while, they learn to recognize it. We have the area behind the ear. Why is that important? Why is this important? And the same thing with at the vertex. That's where you'll find cowlicks. You're going to find cowlicks. Depending on certain cuts that we do, it's either going to go up or it's going to go down, or it may go up on both sides or down on both sides. Those are factors as far as natural hair growth and how you take care of that. Okay, and then we have the perimeter line, which recognized as the hairline. We call it the perimeter line, but it's recognized as the hairline. The rest, the interior, that's your hair, how much hair you have, what is in the interior, and of course the tragus. It's a point of measure, but also a lot of nerve endings right there. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I wanted to talk to you as well about the protractor. When we went into haircut B, you learned about a 45-degree angle and a 35-degree angle on the other side of the head. So as we drew it over, as we pulled it forward for that V cut, that is either, now think about that, does that look like a V in the back? Yes, that's either, but strangely enough, you do it up front so that it falls like that in the back. Those are not secrets, those are knowledgeable facts about how to cut hair. Can you go in and V it out? Yes, you can. But what's going to be the factor again? The natural fall of the hair. So these are things that sometimes you got to go back in and clean up a little bit. So we know how to do a head form. We've got this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off because I don't want any deterrence while I'm doing these haircuts. I'm just going to go through it again. We're going to speak the same language again. I got another one of my little fold-up mannequins. Actually, I'm going to show it to you. I've got another one here somewhere, I think. And like I said, I traded mannequins. I gave one of my students one of my real nice mannequins. And, it's not here. I don't know where it's at right now, so I'm not going to worry about it. I know I have another one, but you can see that this has been put. It's just a little mask thing that you put over a head form. And I didn't want to cover this up because I needed it for training. Oh, I see it now. Hang on, I'll show it to you. I see it now, it's right here. But you can see it. And I traded with my student. She got these and it's like, okay, I didn't want her to struggle with it. She was learning. She didn't need to be falling as she was learning because it does become a deterrent. It's better to have what you would call a regular, no, that's not even a regular mannequin. Let me get this one here. And you don't grab your client like this, by the way, but anyways, this is a regular mannequin. This is a beautiful one. This is one of my really much nicer ones. I got this one for one of my students to compete, and it's already been cut once. This is where we did our V. You learned the method. We didn't want to take it shorter, so we left it so that it kind of rounded out in the back. So you can see that a V haircut takes really long hair to create that perfect V in there, and then you clean it up. So I'm going to take this off. We've already, like I said, this is review, A, B, and C. I'm hoping that by now you're developing the language. The language will continue to come up. It's good for you to review it. And I gotta tell you something. It really gives the clients, when I'm teaching, respect for the student. When they have a mannequin or they have a client comes in, and then I tell them, all right, I need you to subsection. I need you to, let's do some diagonal parts. And you're just gonna subsection along the nape line. You're gonna travel up to the occipital, up to the parietal line. As you travel, you're gonna elevate it out at a 90 degree. And if I teach this, and this is how I teach it, and my student understands it, and she does it, who's impressed? The student. The client. The client is looking at that student. I've never heard them talk like that. But see, doctors, when they talk to each other, medical people, they use professional language. A doctor's not going to say, doctor's going to give you surgery. He's going to do an incision. He's not going to say, I'm going to cut you from here to here. That's not professional language. When I teach my students, I teach them every aspect about being professional, and the language is extreme. So I'm giving this to you because with this pandemic that we've had, you may need it. You may need it for the future. And I got to tell you, if you should choose to go to beauty school, you'll be one step ahead. Not everybody teaches this way. Like I said, many times along the curve of the head, it's called the crest or the curve of the head. It is not necessarily the parietal line. They might say the parietal area, but there is no definite. Now, like I said, these mannequins drive me crazy. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna comb it straight down. We're gonna be talking about the 0, and I'm not gonna take off as much as I did on my last mannequin. We're just learning now, again, procedure, we're reviewing. I wanna keep enough length so that possibly I can do a decent V on this one, because I don't care how short I take it up front. But the thing is, after I do my V, then I'm going to do the A-line, which was haircut number C. And you learned about either a curve or a true A on that. So there's 2 different methods. And again, you go back in, and let me show you that A-line haircut again, because we are gonna try and kind of fix it. Do you see what I'm talking about, the natural fall? Okay, the hair falls in this direction. When I comb it back, it's pretty even. But when it falls, we have a little bit of a slant. I'd rather it fall back slightly layered where you can't see that, and then come out in that nice shorter to longer. Another factor, underneath. Now remember, now we're reviewing. You've already seen this video. You might want to clean that up underneath, which we'll try and do today. But you can see that the fall on this side falls better. That again refers back to the natural fall. So the natural fall of the hair is one of the things that's going to make you feel like or think that possibly you didn't get it right. You did. That's part of doing it again afterwards. Remember what happens when hair's wet? It stretches. What happens when it's dry? It comes back. All these little natural waves make a difference as far as how it's going to come back. So when you're trying to do a cut that is straight down, many times that person might have to flat iron their hair to get the look that they want. That's when then it becomes them and not you. It's their hair. But now how you cut it, if they want it a certain way and you didn't do the correct angle, all right, then it becomes your fault. So these are all factors. I know that at times when, like when I was showing you the cut, as I take it down, it appears that it goes down. In my eyes, it looks straight. So do you see why you should have them stand up instead of leaning down, but even when you bring it down, it's a natural movement. Your fingers here are to rotate the shear, to rotate it back and forth so that it works out for you. So what you're going to do, we're going to take it right to the center nape, and this time I'm not going to take off very much because what I'm doing is we're just reviewing. So I'm going to take this straight down. The one thing that I want to do, stay at the center nape. We're doing the 0, and we're doing the 0 where you travel around. We're not bringing everything back because that will cause a slight curve. I want to make sure that that is straight and that is straight. I'm going to bring my elbow down, bend my knees a bit so you can see the cut. I hope you can. And doing my very best to make sure. See now how I turn my fingers? That's a factor as well, to make that line just a little bit off. So be careful about that. You really should just stand in front of what you're doing and cut straight across. Always. You won't be teaching this, you're going to be doing it. Again, do you see why I recommend that you get a mannequin for yourself? You don't want to do this on a person. Practice on a mannequin. And again, like I said, you can get them at Sally's. You can go through Amazon and get them. Try and get human hair mannequins. All right? All right, so I'm going to travel around here. Again, making sure that it's perfectly straight. I've got my guide. Cut across. Bring my guide down. All right, remember we're following that nape line. Coming straight across. I hope you can see. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this over, turn it around a bit, and bring it straight down again, and cut straight across. Again, we're here. And this, you can see why I don't like these little fit-on things, because they do tend to kind of shift a little bit. It's going to be straight when we're finished, but it's not going to necessarily look straight towards her face because we had to kind of shovel that on her.
You done?
I've got my grandson here. He's going to come in to get his hair cut. So we're going to do that in just a little bit. We're not going to use him as a model, but Okay, you wanna just relax a little bit, watch TV, whatever, or
How long,
go sit quietly?
how long now?
Few minutes. Any of you have kids? Any of you have grandkids? Remember, I've been doing this for 52 years. I've got grandkids. No more kids, thank goodness. And yes, they still come to me to get haircuts or whatever. All right, so we're gonna bring it straight down. And again, and I want you to see that. See what's happening there. If I trust that and just leave it, then I have a problem. So I want to make sure that that's gonna be equally moist. And you notice that I don't have much to cut. There's gonna be very little to cut, but there's my guide. Turn it around. And then I'm gonna turn it around so you can see it. I hope you can see the cut. All right. Bring the sides down. And I'm not gonna take the top down because actually, once you see the sides, there's not gonna be any hair to cut. So we're not gonna bother with that, but you know that you would take the top down last and you would see the natural fall of the hair. So like I said, we're doing 3 haircuts very quickly, just following the steps again, telling you again, if this is really thick, what you would do is then you would part this in half first before you bring it down. But you can see there's minimal hair to cut because I'm not taking a lot of length off. I want to teach you 3 haircuts with this one mannequin. So bring it down, bring it across, down, and usually when you do your cuts on your mannequins, my preference is that's all you take off. See, I chose to take off a lot more when I showed you that A cut. I don't want you to do that. When you do the A cut, take off this much, take off 1 inch. Do it again, practice again, take off another inch. Practice again, take off another inch. Until you've gone about 3 inches doing the same thing over and over again, practicing looking at your shear, practicing looking at the hair, holding it taut so that it's perfectly straight. Come back over to the other side. Get it nice and wet. And then after this, we're going to just start on our A line. And again, we're not gonna take the top off because of the natural fall. We're creating a guideline along the perimeter line for all of this cut. And you can see there's very little hair that's going to be cut. Just those little scraggly ends is all. And I wanna wet this underneath. I don't want you to get bad habits. Just because you see me do it doesn't mean that you should do it. I've been doing this a long time. Would I struggle with it? No. But I don't want you to get, can you see the cut? Can you see that all I'm taking off is that right there? That's it. Holding this straight, I'm gonna kind of stand in front of it. I hope you can see me do that. Put that cut, okay? Bring this down, bring this down. We're slightly longer on this side. How do we find it? How do we find that concern? And remember, isn't that push-pull? Told you that before. We're gonna come to this corner. We're gonna find, here it is. Find the corner right there, just a little bit longer. Cut it, and I'm just gonna go do it. You've already had this class on this cut. I want you to see it. So I'm just coming, just traveling over, making sure all the time that it's totally straight. Now look at the difference. And out of that lesser corner, it grew. And it always will. Okay, now let's take a look at it. There, we're even. It looks even. If not, you know that we're gonna go back in and fix it. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to start the V cut. And you can see that this face, she looks like she had a stroke. Okay, yeah, those are even. We've got a couple of little scragglers here. but it's pretty even. All right, so what I'm gonna do, your subsection then, you'll end up building a little bit of a triangle here. Now what I'm gonna do with this one, now the last time we did this, we went ahead and came forward because we wanted to keep some length. We didn't want to take it too short. This time we're going to take it a bit shorter. So I'm going to stay at the frontal area, center frontal fringe. Everything is going to come to that until I run out of hair. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut straight down, holding it at that angle, cutting straight down, directing the hair to that 0-degree angle. All right, holding it straight down. Bring it up, and I'm very certain that I'm going to run out of hair again, diagonally. Bring it all to that center point. Let me find my guide, there it is. Make sure, if I can't see it, I've got too much hair. All right, see it, there it is. Take it to that center area again, straight up. Make sure all of that hair came over, and you can definitely see the guide now. There's the nose, that's where I'm cutting. Again, diagonal part, bring it over, and you're gonna find that I'm going to run out of hair, surprisingly enough. But you'll start seeing that V back. Now remember I said you could take all of that, you didn't have to just work up on the occipital and down to the nape or tip of the ear to tip of the ear, mid-occipital, but that you could just bring it down. But do you see how we're starting to run out of hair? That's even there. Again, diagonal part. Bring it all the way forward, and we're still going to end up with a slightly rounded V, or maybe squared off V in the back, because we don't have enough length to do that with. So do you see that coming in? Do you see that V? But you also see this corner right here. That again is the nape. So I'm at this time at the very center nape, I'm going to take it straight up and down, just like I would if I had a subsection. And my mannequin is turning on me. The last time I did this, I had to put a towel on it, and then it fell. And I'm not gonna put a towel on it this time. I'm just gonna fight with it, and I'm gonna win. And see, there's nothing to cut. That came off the front. So that square is gonna be there, and that's where you would then clean it up. But you can see the angle that's coming in as a V. So if we still had hair, longer hair, it would finally just V out. So I'm going to do the other side real quick. Like I said, this is just a review. This isn't learning the cut. You should have already done the cut, should have already gone through it. And I'm hoping that, and I didn't say it on the A cut, not to take off very much, but now you know if you need to go get yourself another mannequin because you took too much off, please do so. Make sure that you're diagramming this. Make sure that you're taking notes on it. Okay, so here's our little triangle part, and this time the fingers are going to do what? Point down. And I want to get a guide from the other side. Look at that. There's not very much there. See that? All right, so I'm going to take that straight down. There's the nose. This time we're cutting straight up instead of down. You can see it. Bring another section, bring it over, and I'm going to take it up to the frontal fringe. That's where we want it. Again, straight down. Be very careful about cutting into yourself. Make sure you have Band-Aids. Diagonal. Bring it straight out. And I hope this mannequin stops turning. She doesn't want to listen to me, like clients. Okay, up to that frontal fringe. Now, one thing that I want you to notice, when we don't bring it straight forward, do you notice the more length that we have? What happens when hair travels? It becomes longer. We've talked about that before. How much time have I gone, cameraman?
24.
24? Okay. So we're gonna quickly do this. I'm gonna bring it all forward. Let me bring it all forward, then I'll turn it. There you go, bring it forward to that, cut down. But you can see that V coming in, come to that center nape, bring it over. Okay, mannequin, come on. And usually when you get a mannequin, by the way, they send you a small stand. And you know, you would put that on a countertop or a table, a desk, and just kind of keep it there. If you have carpeting, my recommendation is to put plastic underneath so you don't get any hair on your carpet, because that's going to be hard to take off. Okay, again, we see that square right there. We're going to come, don't fall down. We're going to come to the back, and you can see it come in slightly rounded. We want a V, so we're going to take our guide here, and where do you see, what angle do you see there? That's a 45-degree angle. The other side's going to be a 135-degree angle. So knowing that exact diagonal angle helps you create that perfect, and you can see it's a little bit better on this one. She's got less hair than my other one, but you can see that V coming in. Okay, our next haircuts, these have all been zero going down. The next haircuts coming up are going to be going straight up. And one, again, 135 degree. Now you see when I left some length here, so excuse my back, you guys. Trying to get this in for you. This is just review, again. And the angle of the cut is extreme. Now, am I going to have some stuff? There you go. There's your V. And again, I would have the natural fall come out, and then I would just follow my guide, comb it straight down, and follow my guide into it. I don't have to bring this back, because a natural fall makes a big difference on what direction the hair is going to move. I can force it straight down, but if it's growing in this direction, I'm going to have a problem. It's not going to stay straight down. All right, so that is a big factor. So now I'm going to go into haircut B. C. A was the straight across, zero elevation. B haircut. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to subsection off at the nape. I'm going to leave the sides for just a minute. I'm not going to clip them. But again, this is quick. This is just review. All right, so if we want an A line, it's exactly the opposite of a V. Shorter in the back, longer in the front. We're going to end up with a slight layer in here because of that, but you'll still be able to see it. So that we can get it, I'm going to take the V so that it fits here. All right, at this area, this right at the where that little peg is at, where your sideburn is at, because above that on the frontal, you can see it came up. So this travels down. Do you see how that is part of the geometry factor? This travels down. This hair traveled less than this hair. This hair traveled more, and this hair, the more it travels from its own space, the longer it gets. Okay, so this was closest to that shorter area. So therefore it was shorter. All right, so we're gonna go down to the center nape. We're gonna take it, and we're going to create just a straight line across at the center nape, just like we did before. All right, at the very center nape. I hope you can see that as that comes off. I'm going to then subsection into the behind the ear and bring that to the middle of that. See, this hair is in the middle of it. And then I'm going to go back to, again, the area behind the ear, bring that to the center nape. And even though I cut straight across, do you see where we're slightly rounded. Okay, you can have a rounded back. What we want to create, you would then do the same thing on the other side, and I'll quickly do it for you. Bring all of that to the center. I'm just bringing it all over, cutting it straight across, and again, we've got that rounded back. Now I'm going to create the V. Doing this quickly, we're just going back over, same thing. And did you notice on this rounded back how my hand stayed more horizontal? What you're going to notice when we do the true V, the hands are now going to start coming up at a true A at a slight 45 and 135 degree angle. So I want to stay at the center back. Let me find her center back. Like I said, please don't buy yourself one of these mannequins. You're going to go nuts. See this line right here? I'm taking that at a 45. This line right here is going to go, what? 135 degree angle over to this side. That's your protractor, or diagonally up to form that A. All right, now this is going to come back over, meet into it. Again, this hair traveled to the center. This hair traveled to the end. I'm not taking this and bringing it to the center. It's the same. My angle is just different. Can you see that me cutting there? And you shouldn't go that far into your palm of your hand, because you could just slice into yourself. So you can see that's sharper. You can already see that that's much sharper. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to bring it over, again the same thing, but this time I'm cutting at a 45 degree. All right, so I'm going to bring the sides back over now. There you go. And like I said, I'm doing this quickly. Let me wet this really good. Just quickly going through this, just basically reviewing the cut. I want you to get it. Believe me, it works. I'm going to bring all this over and see how some of that hair is not going to come over because it's already shorter. But because it's traveling back now, you know, it's common knowledge. The front is going to be longer. The back is going to be shorter. And you can see that. And see how it kind of squared it off a bit? Because I brought it forward first. And you've got a little bit of a square off there because we ran out of hair. See how it comes off? So some things you can't change. Length is a big factor in these cuts. All right, I'm going to do this quickly. Running out of water. Now, I would need to make sure that I can see my guide. If I can't see my guide, I have to remove hair so that I can definitely there. Now I can see my guide. Now the hair is going to come straight down, and I'm going to form that A. And like I said, we're not teaching it now, we are reviewing. The hair at the flat part of the head, everything comes back just like everything went forward on the last cut. Everything comes back. This area here, I'm just going to follow my guide. And yes, we're going to have, let's see, oops. Don't say that in front of a client. Don't say oops in front of a client. That's not a good thing. We're going to pull that back. That's not verbiage they want to hear. All right, so you can see that that is definitely an A right there. It's a little bit sharper. Like I said, I'm working on this quickly. Do you see why you don't want to, see how I'm pointing my shear? I've palmed my shear, but still you have to be careful that you don't cut yourself, that you don't point it towards yourself. I got to say, there was one time I was trying to remove tangles from a lady's head, and I had my shear like this, and I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. So sometimes when you palm them, you might have to just literally palm them and take all your fingers out. Just to be very safe, And now all I'm doing is following that guide. Following the guide. I don't have to do anything up front because I have no hair to cut. It's not gonna travel, I'm done. So do you see what I mean? On the shorter hair, you can still have an A-line, still have it nice. Now watch how much hair comes down from the original length. I need to part it down the center. Okay, come on little mannequin. That's mine. Let's get a little bit manners here. And you can see that my mannequin's head is shifted. Definitely, I don't like these. It saved my student, but it's driving me crazy. So look at the length that we've got now. So you're gonna see a little bit of that. Let's hope I have enough water and I haven't run out of water. That would just make it wonderful. So we want to keep these classes very natural for you. We want to keep them comfortable for you. It's still at the center part. You see that even though she looks like she had a stroke. So look at the length that I'm taking off now on the sides, that this will create kind of a fictitious or slight, let me do the back first, A-line from the front. So I'm going to do the back. I'm going to take care of the back first. And again, excuse my back. I hope you can see this. Okay, excuse my back. I don't want you not to get this information. I really want you to get it. All right, so now I'm going to take all this hair from the back, from the front, because now I have some hair to cut, and I'm going to bring it back to the center nape and cut it at that angle. Now you can kind of see where this has now created that V, even though underneath we know it's squared off. All right, so that's because we left the length on top, but the longer the hair, the more you can see it happen. So these haircuts, they're all zero. They've just been directed in different ways. They're all held. Now the only one that was brought up was the V cut, but still held close to the face. So that makes it a zero elevation. You held it close. You didn't necessarily pull it up or out. The next haircuts that we do are all going to be held up, and then they're going to be held out. And then we're going to start, I'm going to show you how proper use of the clipper. So you can start your clipper cutting. And the safety with the clipper, you know, when to pull away, when to come close, all of that. How different parts of the head affect your clipper cut. Okay, now you see that I brought that back, and now look at that really sharp line on this side. It's probably uneven. I did this really quickly. May not be, maybe I got lucky. Nope, we're a little bit uneven, so I'm gonna bring it back over. And again, the other side is starting to dry. Oh, there it is. You're beginning to learn what, you know, the aspects of how to work with hair, dry hair, wet hair, the natural fall. Where are you on the head form? And again, she's a little bit off, but we're even now. So at least that point is even anyways. Oh, and on the zero haircut, one of the things that I told you about pulling it back, I want to review that a bit, because if you part it down the center and then you bring it forward, and it's the same with this cut, you're going to have a strong V in there because you've pulled it back. You've created length within the frontal apex area. So you're going to have that corner there. The option is, if you take it off, you want to take it off straight ahead. My recommendation is point cutting because it keeps it soft. And point cutting, you're going to place your finger. Let me just demo that for you real quick. You're going to place the shear on your finger so that you don't, and then you just cut it straight across. So I may as well go ahead and take it off on this side too. Place it on my ring finger and just bring it straight across. And that's it. That's pretty much A, B, and C. And we've covered A1 also by going back through the head form, all the different parts of the head. I'm not exactly sure how clean that looks underneath, but when I'm finished, I would go back and fix that. Now I want to just real quickly show you on my other A-line that I did. I want to show you what I'm talking about as far as a natural fall of the hair. And this is just real quick. You see what I'm saying? That's a natural fall. Now when I bring it back, it's even. But when it falls, it's a little bit off. So that's where then I would take my shear, but the angle has to be correct. So now do you see what I'm saying? Just that little snip, snip here, snip, snip there. Sometimes that's what the stylist is doing when they're talking to you. Sometimes before they're finished, you'll see them cutting little bits and pieces of hair. That's what they're doing. Anyways, I want to thank you. I hope you're getting good information from this. I hope that this is something that's helpful for you. With the pandemic, with salons being closed, this is 2020. We had a real bad time right now. Everyone is staying home. I'm staying home. I got bored, so I thought, hey, I'm going to teach. I love teaching. I love taking students, and there's nothing like it. Please, if you like this, think about going to a good cosmetology school. And always with your teachers, ask why, ask how. Take care. God bless. See you again.